What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the W.A.D.E Concept Podcast. A little bit more energy today. I'm very excited. We're 2 days away from the biggest fight in UFC history. I cannot wait. This whole week, I've been kind of away from my live stream just because I wanted to make picks, and I've been going back and forth. As you guys can see, the beard is out. I haven't done anything beside break down this card top to bottom, and especially the main fight. So today we are here. The UFC is putting on one final press conference for the UFC 229 event. We're here to watch it and react. Today I've got my earphones on, so I'm going to be able to hear sound, so sound won't be an issue, and we're going to be doing this for the pay-per-view too. So you guys tune in Saturday. Saturday is going to be an 8-hour stream. We're going to start at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to go through the entire card. I know the card doesn't start until 3, but an hour early will give us time to prepare, to talk, to get some people in the chat, to discuss some fights that maybe we're not looking at off of the main card, because all I'm predicting is the main card. Now, we have fights that are on the Fox prelim, on the UFC Fight Pass prelim. We have all those fights. I'm not predicting those. We might do one. I'll look at it in a second, but it'll give us an hour to kind of look at that stuff as well. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited to get in. The press conference today starts in about 20 minutes or so, and you know how Conor is. That fool will probably be about 30 minutes late. I can only be on here till about 4:30 my time because I got to go to work. But while we're waiting, let's get to some picks. What's going on, guys? 3 people in the chat. Welcome in. I'm doing a couple things different. I have my mic on the other side of the table today. I wanted to see how it worked out. Different lighting. We're going to have two, like a light here and a light here Saturday. One of my lights, I bought like new lights, and one of my lights broke. So whatever. As is technology and things that you buy, of course. Murphy's Law. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong sometimes. But we don't care. We're here for one thing. We're here to see this last press conference. And it's not, the reason I want to see this last press conference is not so much that I want to see what Conor says or what Khabib says. I want to see how these guys look during what's probably the hardest part of the build-up to the fight is this weight cut and dealing with media and everything else. I want to see how they look, what their mindset is, how mentally tough, and just where they're at in general. That's what I want to see. So I'm not looking for wild and outlandish Conor McGregor. I'm not looking for Khabib to fire back with personals. That might happen, but that's not what I'm looking for. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with all of this because it's not just Conor and Khabib that we're looking for, even though I think it's just going to be those two in the press conference. I want to see. I just watched Embedded, and I saw Anthony Pettis and how he looked. He looked really in great shape for this fight with Tony Ferguson. A lot of people are overlooking that fight. But in the press conference specifically, I just want to see where the mindsets of Khabib and Conor are. I know it's been a couple of years since Conor was back in that cage, and as it comes closer, we've always seen him deal with pressure well. Has that changed? I mean, he just fought the biggest fight of his life against Floyd Mayweather in front of millions and millions in a different sport that he had never done professionally. So I don't think it'll affect him as much. But Khabib has never been in a fight like this as far as the media surrounding it, the pressure of 26-0 defending your world title in front of double anything you've ever seen, sometimes quadruple the crowds that you've ever seen, and they're not in your favor. Khabib is coming in as the betting favorite, but the crowds are going to favor Conor. Obviously, he's the biggest star MMA has ever seen, and he will be even after this, but that's why there's more pressure on Khabib. Conor can lose Saturday, and we'll go over this in a second, but Conor can lose Saturday and still remain the biggest star in MMA. Khabib just doesn't suddenly get that rub from Conor because he doesn't do the things Conor does. He doesn't bring in the people Conor does. Unless something absolutely tragic happens tomorrow, both these guys will go on and have great careers. Conor is, in my opinion, under less pressure. But before we just go back and forth, I think we have about 15 minutes. Let's go over the card and let's make some picks. So we're not going to do any picks for the FS1 prelims. I was going to do the Sean O'Malley fight to pick that one, but unfortunately you guys, I'm sure, know what happened with that. Sean O'Malley's off the card. Tested positive for a banned substance from USADA. No real word on what it is yet. He seems to think it is USADA. What's going on, man? Welcome back. Appreciate you, man. No, he seems to think that it was some caffeine pills. There's really been no word on what it actually is yet because it takes, I guess, months for USADA to look at that stuff and send it back. But we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, Sean O'Malley doesn't look like a guy that's using steroids or some performance enhancers if you just look at him. But you never know. But anyway, let's start with the first fight on the card. And I don't know if Kelsey's in the chat, but she will like this fight. And this is the 115 division, women's 115 division between Michelle Watterson, the karate hottie, and Felice Herrig, the little bulldog. I've seen both these ladies fight. Duh, she says. I know. I just wanted to make sure that you're paying attention at this point, because this is, other than the Conor fight, this is probably going to be your favorite fight. Michelle Watterson, out of Jackson Winklejohn's camp, as a veteran of this game, always been around that top 10 range at 115. Got as high as number 4. Just when it gets to that top tier against Rose, she got choked to death. Against girls in that top tier, she just can't get over the hump. It seems a lot like the Michael Johnson and for a long time Dustin Poirier effect. But against girls she's supposed to beat, she beats him handily. She mopped the floor with Paige Van Zandt. And I don't think Felice Herrig is going to be any different. Felice Herrig has gotten a couple of wins. Not to say that she's not skilled at all. Of course she's skilled, and she's an amazing fighter. Message you on Insta, no reply. Uzair, I have my DMs blocked. I'll go take a look at it though. Like I have it on permission only, so I can't see a lot of my DMs. But I'll take a look at it for you, 100%. Appreciate the message though, brother. But Felice Herrig is one of these girls that is in every fight, but doesn't really separate herself in any aspect of fighting. She's good everywhere, but in my opinion, not really great anywhere, right? And I think she, especially with the stand-up striking Michelle Watterson possesses, I think she can expose a little bit of Felice Herrig, kind of, again, the little bulldog, kind of putting her head down and swinging, and getting into a lot of barn burners. That doesn't really favor her. So I think that Michelle Watterson comes out of this. I don't see any kind of finish, though. I think it's just going to be a decision. Michelle Watterson, again, against girls in that kind of 7 to 10 range, not in the top 5, even implement some grappling and some jiu-jitsu that I like seeing. So I think that she gets it done probably by decision. Unanimous, split. I don't think it's going to be any super one-sided fight, but I do think her skills will find a way to accelerate past Felice Herrig. But I think it'll be an interesting fight. Felice Herrig always comes forward on girls, always sticks her nose in there and is willing to brawl. So it's definitely going to be a fight. No one's running around and point landing here. It's going to be a fight. Okay. We have Derek Lewis versus Alexander Volkov. Now, this is an interesting fight, man. This is a very interesting fight. Not a lot of people are talking about it, and with good reason. I mean, we know why not a lot of people are talking about any fight on this card besides Conor and Khabib, and that's the gift and the curse of being such a pay-per-view draw that Conor is, and in Russia as Khabib is. 26-0, like this is the biggest fight we've ever seen for many reasons. It's personal. The competition is at the highest level. These two guys are the consensus 2 best guys in the division. Whether you consider Tony Ferguson to be in that conversation is a different story. I do. But 2 out of the 3 are fighting each other, and that's what you want, right? But with that being said, you're going to have fights that are really good fights that are not particularly looked at because of that. But this is one of those. So Derek Lewis, again, ranked number 2 at heavyweight, so highly ranked. We don't really go with the rankings at heavyweight because Kane isn't fighting, and you got DC and Stipe's there, and possibly John Jones is there. So there are guys in that division that might be overall better than Derek Lewis, but he's 20-5, and he's worked his ass off to get where he is. Granted, his last fight wasn't special. Him and Francis, they thought that would be a barn burner. Both those guys kind of hesitant to pull the trigger, and I understand why. One shot ends that fight. They're both heavy strikers. But now you're fighting a guy, Alexander Volkov, coming off a big win over Fabricio Verdum. And, a very tall guy, 29-6, another Russian on the card, big knockout power, precise striking. So I don't know. His takedowns actually are implemented in a fashion that he lands a lot. When he does shoot, he lands a lot of takedowns. It doesn't he shoots a lot, but when he does, he lands a lot. So the way I look at Alexander Volkov is a guy like Stefan Struve, but knows how to use his jab, right? A guy that's tall, has a reach, has a long reach, and knows how to use it. Used it against Fabricio Verdum, kept him up against the cage, and teed off on him. In this fight, I don't know, man. It's tough. The only time I've seen Derek Lewis run into trouble is if, obviously, he runs into a guy that can maintain distance, find shots that'll hit Derek Lewis without being hit, and somehow gas him to the point where he's throwing completely sloppily. I think that if I'm not mistaken, did Derek Lewis beat Mark Hunt, or did Mark Hunt beat Derek Lewis? I just remember that fight being one of the fights where he got really exposed, and I think Travis Brown fight was another one where his gas tank just got completely exposed, and he saw that this guy can go and he can throw these big punches at heavyweight, but when it comes down to a 3-round fight, and you saw it in his last fight, he tends to gas toward that late second, early third, and after that you're not getting much out of him. So it's going to be explosive. It's going to be an early round firefight from Derek Lewis. But and I don't know why, I just have this gut feeling that Alexander Volkov is going to be able to weather that storm, keep his distance with that reach advantage. I mean, it's a 1-inch reach advantage, but for him to be able to keep his distance, use his jab, and make Derek Lewis come after him, make him use that blitzkrieg, that firefight that he wants to get into, that brawl style. I think he avoids those big punches, and I think he drags him into the later round, and the technique starts to take over, and the cardio starts to take over, and I think Alexander Volkov is more precise and more concise with his striking. I think he uses a lot less to get a lot more out of it. I think that'll overwhelm Derek Lewis in a third-round stoppage is what I see from Alexander Volkov. Jay, what's going on, man? Welcome in. But that's what I see. I don't know that to be the case. I've only seen Volkov fight a couple of times, but what I have seen him do is use his reach and his distance very well. And it doesn't look like he's anyone that has any kind of cardio issues or anything like that. I'm not saying Derek Lewis has cardio issues. It's just that when he throws like he throws and he's so physical and he wants to get up in your face and throw big, heavy haymakers, that you're not going to be able to do that for 3 rounds at 260 pounds. It's not going to happen. So I see Alexander Volkov in a third-round stoppage, just based on the fact that he's going to be able to weather the storm and come back and fire off a couple of his own. Ovince St. Preux versus Dominic Reyes. Not a lot I know about Dominic Reyes. He's undefeated. Looks like another one of these guys that is trying to emerge at 205, trying to make that division a little deeper. I don't know his game at all. I probably should. He's number 12 in the division, so I haven't really seen a lot of him. Shogun, what's going on, man? What's going on, guys? It's good to see everybody again. I just saw Kelsey's messages. I'm not calling Michelle Watterson a hottie. That's her nickname. Jeez. Watch her in the chat, guys. Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't know a lot about Dominic Reyes, but I know my boy Ovince St. Preux. If y'all don't know, he's University of Tennessee alumni, so let's be honest. Was I ever going to pick against him? No. Ovince St. Preux, I would love to see him get another Von Flue choke. I would love it. I'm going to pick it. Ovince St. Preux by Von Flue choke. Or Von St. Preux choke. That's what we're going with. I'll say middle of the second. Von St. Preux choke. And then we get to one of the most interesting fights. I don't know about style matchup. I mean, it's interesting style matchup wise, but it's interesting because of the stories coming into it, right? So you have we have 8 minutes, damn it. We have Anthony Pettis versus Tony Ferguson. And this is interesting for a couple of reasons. It's the first one being kind of where both career paths of the guys, right? So Anthony Pettis is on almost a redemption story. The first, a skyrocketed career at 155, former champion. Company had put so much into this guy and put him on the cover of the Wheaties box. I mean, he was next up as far as the lineage of the UFC greats. He was the next, John Jones. He was the next guy that was there. And for whatever reason, things just didn't go his way for a good string of fights. And then all of a sudden his story arc changed, and all of a sudden now he was a guy that you didn't know if he was going to be in the UFC after his next fight. The way he fought Max Holloway, the way he dropped down and lost a couple of good fights, the way he lost to Dustin Poirier, there were questions was Anthony Pettis even going to fight again? But he comes back, he gets a huge win over Michael Chiesa, and now he's put in this position to where I don't know if it's a number one contenders fight. I don't know if what they're doing with this fight. I'm really not sure what they're fighting for. Tony's walking around today with his interim title belt on. Pettis doesn't look like he's going to get the shot, regardless of if he wins or not, because you have Kevin Lee still sitting there waiting, and his big win over Edson Barbosa. Surely he would be in the conversation for a Khabib fight or a Conor fight, or however that goes. It just depends on who wins that fight, who gets the next one. Because if Conor wins, neither of these guys are seeing that belt. I hate to be that guy, but if Conor beats Khabib, I don't think either of these guys are seeing a title fight in the near future. Tony or Anthony Pettis. I just don't see it. I don't think it wakes Conor up and gets him out of bed to see a Showtime kick or Tony Ferguson with his shades on walking around. I don't think so. So Pettis will attack the leg. He'd be smart to. I'm sure Tony has prepared himself for people that are going to come after his leg, but he'd be smart to. As dirty as that sounds, I don't want to sit here and encourage fighters actively trying to disable people, but it's a fight. It's a combat sport. It's physical combat. So yeah, you're going to try to exploit your opponent's weaknesses. And then on the other side of things, you have Tony Ferguson. You have a guy that worked so hard to get to that interim title belt. What was it, like 10 or 11 straight wins in that division? I cleaned out the entire division. Gets to the title belt, beats Kevin Lee after going through adversity in that fight, comes back, beats Kevin Lee. And Shogun, I saw that. I saw Josh Thompson say that on the Below the Belt podcast. We'll talk about it. But yeah, gets this title, has a freak accident at the UFC studios or the Fox studios, tears his ACL tripping over a cord, and then gets his title stripped. He talked about it, and it's kind of sad, man. Gets his title taken from him. Doesn't get to defend it. Doesn't get to come back and fight for it. They take money away from the guy after he's won 11 straight times. It's a tough business, and Tony Ferguson is the guy that's getting screwed out of all this. And I don't know if I were him, if I would even be accepting this fight. The danger that Anthony Pettis possesses, especially in his striking game, and just leading up to this fight, it's just an interesting story. But we've only got 5 minutes till the press conference, so I'm going to go ahead and make my pick. I think you never know how a guy's going to be coming off of ACL surgery. Anthony Pettis looks really, really good in his striking. His submission game's underrated, but I cannot pick against Tony Ferguson. I can't do it. The guy is so mentally tough to come back from an ACL tear in 5 months. 5 months. That's NFL type of freak athlete type of shit. If he really is as healthy as he says he is, and he comes out and just dominates Anthony Pettis, we're looking at a freak. We're looking at a guy that can compete with anyone on the planet, regardless of 155, 170 weight division. He can compete. That guy's a freak. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Tony Ferguson. It's going to be typical Tony Ferguson stuff to me. I think he's going to get hit. I think he might even get wobbled by some of these crazy strikes. If you see Anthony Pettis in the gym, he's throwing these like windmill strikes. He's throwing spinning back elbows into back fists, into hook kicks and spinning kicks and things that are just ridiculous. Yeah, I know, Jay. The press conference will start on time. Conor will get there at about 5 o'clock, and I'll be at work. Hopefully, that's not the case because I want to sit here. I want to watch it, but we'll see. But Tony, the one guy that has a lot to lose from this fight is Tony, and I think he's going to fight like that. I think he comes out, gets hit, keeps moving forward, and I think he finds a way to either trap Anthony Pettis in a submission or just his pressure and his pace overwhelms him. Late in the, I don't know if they're going 5. I think they're going 3. I think the co-main goes 3. So late in the third, he just overwhelms him, I think. And I think that Tony gets the W by some kind of stoppage, whether it's TKO or submission. You can't go against a guy like that, man. He's a absolute freak. The way he fights, he might not be the best talker. He might say some weird things. Yesterday he was talking about how he was in a rat race, but he's not a rat. He's a ninja turtle. So I don't know. It was wild. But let's see before I make the Conor stuff, because I'll sit here and talk for 5 years about Conor and Khabib. Let's see if they have the press conference live yet. Okay, they're just doing intros. So, And now we're here, guys. After about a week of me going back and forth in my own head, watching just little stuff, the press conference before, the way these two are talking about each other, the way Conor's approaching the fight, the way Khabib's approaching the fight, even all the way up until their open workouts, I have studied these two to see if I could see any type of advantage from one guy or the other. I don't know that I do. I don't know that I've seen a chink in either guy's armor. You know, I could sit here and go, oh, well, Khabib got a little out of character at the press conference and started jawing back, and he got upset when Conor was talking about his dad, but who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? I mean, we say that Conor gets in people's heads all the time, but anytime someone fires back at Conor and says something, he flies off the handle like a maniac. It's emotion. Guys bring it to these press conferences. It means zero on fight night. What's going to mean the most on fight night is who can control themselves and who can implement their game plan in front of 20,000 people and 2 million or however many watching around the world. And that's what I think it comes down to be honest. Oh, we got picks in the chat. We got Jay says first round KO from Conor. Shogun says Conor will have his back in the third round. Oh, we'll give his back in the third. I was going to say, whoa, Conor by submission. Conor will give his back in the third round. Khabib by rear naked choke. Could very well happen. Could very well happen. Going into this fight, the little things I've seen from both guys as far as training, it doesn't look like either of them are deviating from what they want to do. It doesn't look like Conor's really, training to be on the ground with Khabib. He's training, to defend single legs and defend the body lock, and that's about it. Khabib doesn't look like he's training to stand with Conor for anything remotely more than a couple of maybe 10, 20, 30 seconds. Working a lot of ground game, working a lot of ground and pound. Khabib is, of course. That's his game plan. So guys aren't deviating from what they want to do. I don't see it as simply as Conor staying on his feet, Khabib staying on the ground, and I don't see it as simply as can Conor defend takedowns? Can Khabib get to the takedown? I see it as once those things happen, because Conor will be taken down. I could bet whatever money I have to my name that Conor is going to get taken down. How will he defend? Because you've seen guys try to just spring back to their feet and post on their arm, and Khabib just pulls that arm and makes him waste more energy and drags him back down and drags him back down and drags him back down. So I don't think that's the strategy. The interesting thing will be how Conor deals with being on the ground against Khabib. Will he try to scramble? Will he try to find a different way to scramble? Will he sit there and let Khabib, stay on top and waste some energy and try to defend and maybe attack from the bottom like he did against Chad Mendes? I don't know. But, so I like both of them, but I feel Conor sleeps him quite easily. I think Conor will break him mentally in the second round, or I think Khabib will break him mentally in the second round. I wouldn't be surprised. Islam says it's Khabib time. Okay, maybe. This is what I'm saying. I think Khabib has never fought in this environment. And I have no experience on that big of a stage. The biggest stage I've been on, I used to model with LA Models, and I was on the stage at the Academy Awards, giving an award, or ceremoniously giving an award to Ellen for 20 straight People's Choice, or I said the Academy, the People's Choice Awards. I was, it was a ceremonial thing. They brought us on up there, and I just looked at the crowd, and I wasn't competing. I wasn't in any sort of environment where I had to compete, but just the roars from the crowd for someone else showed me and made me nervous. It made, my goosebumps stand up. It wasn't a cheer for me. It was for someone else. And I think if you've never been in that environment, Kelsey's smiling, if you've never been in that environment, and you walk into it against a guy that has lived in that environment for about 5 to 6 years now, it's a different world, man. Oh, here we go. We're starting the press conference. What did he say? They say Conor wasn't coming? He said he's not going to wait for Conor. He's going to start. Oh, I got you. This is typical Conor stuff. Sorry, guys. I'll make my pick in a second. Conor's playing Conor's game. Like, he's late every press conference. This isn't a surprise to anyone. I'm sure that he's annoyed with it, but that's what Conor wants to do, is annoy Khabib. This is a typical Floyd Mayweather move. We all knew this was coming. Khabib said he's not waiting on anybody either. I'm glad the press conference started on time. Conor's the no-show. Khabib said he'll leave the press conference. Should. Can't let him punk you. If Khabib stays there and Conor doesn't show, he basically punks him. Here he is. Oh, never mind. It's just the crowd. Dana has been talking about how he can't wait for the weigh-ins. Conor runs these things, man. It's cringe now that Conor's late on purpose every time. It might be cringe. It might be, but it just shows the control he has over the UFC and over what happens when he's on a card. It's his card. He shows up when he wants. It might not be the most punctual thing, but it's Conor showing his dominance. He is right, though. This weigh-in's going to be nuts tomorrow. Please, God, let Khabib... Can you put the press conference in the bottom of your screen? Sure. I can just get rid of it. Oh, can I put the actual press conference? No, Shogun, I can't. UFC will take down my video. Copyright infringement, content ID stuff. Can't do it. I'm sorry, brother. What is he doing, Jay? It's just a mental thing. You can see, if you guys are watching the press conference, it's on YouTube, by the way. Khabib's irritated. And that's all Conor's trying to get, is just to get Khabib a little bit off his game, get him a little irritated while he's cutting weight. And you can tell he's very irritated. Sorry, Shogun. I wish I could, man. If I do that, I don't have a channel. Conor fans are yelling shit on the bus at Khabib. They just asked Khabib if Conor's safe going to Russia after all he said. That's hilarious, Jay. Shit on bus. Yeah. Khabib's mentioning the fact that he's in the middle of his weight cut, and it's irritating him that he's having to take this time out to take time away from his weight cut. He didn't give him a weight, though. Khabib said he's not shaking his hand after the fight. No way. Shogun, if he's a smart man, as soon as Conor arrives, he'll leave. That's how you one up a guy that does that shit. Khabib's just a guy. The guy, he's just there trying to fulfill his duties, but he's in a situation where he doesn't know what to do. Khabib calling Dana out for when they were doing the photo shoot in the first press conference. Dana asked the photographers and Conor's team for Conor's belts to be put on when Conor shouldn't be wearing any belts at all. Khabib's offended by it. He's calling Dana out. Here's what we'll see if Khabib's... Okay. Well, Dana just shot down 165 again. I don't know why he does that. I don't understand why he's not open to that weight class. Maybe because it's too close to 170? I have no idea. Doesn't make any sense to me. $165, $175. Easy. Khabib says Conor's going to have to kill him to stop him. Pressure, wrestling. Did say you have to be careful with the striking, so at least he knows, you know what I mean? He can't just go rushing in there like he did against Edson Barbosa and throwing wild-ass flying knees and shit. That's not going to happen. Conor does need to hurry up. I got to go to work soon, man. Jay looking out for me in the chat, man. It is so loud in there, Khabib can't even hear the reporter's questions. Khabib says it's personal for him. Conor's done his job. But of course it's personal, right? It's personal for Conor too on some level. The only thing you have to be worried about is if it's personal on fight night. Kelsey can't stop looking at Khabib's cauliflower ear. That junk is both sides. It looks like chewed up bubble gum, and he stuck it in his ear. I have a little bit of it. Y'all can't see it, but it's right here. It's like the smallest amount. Khabib says when Conor's tired, he always gives up. He doesn't know if he'll finish him or if he goes to decision, but Conor will give up. It just looks like Khabib is which I understand this, because he didn't want to be here to begin with, and now Conor's not even here, and he thinks, why should I be here? They just asked him about his hunger compared to Conor's in this fight. It doesn't sound like it's that loud. Khabib just can't hear anybody. True. This reporter is asking a leading question. Do you think you want this more than Conor wants this? Of course, Khabib's going to say yes. She's trying to get him to. She's trying to get him to go, well, Conor has money and all this. I hate leading questions like that. That's the reason that this lady is really trying to pull out that Conor's not hungry. Conor's not fighting this fight for money. Money will be made because of this fight, but he's coming back because he's hungry. Makes no sense. What? If it was about the money, would Conor not go and fight Floyd Mayweather again? Because that's definitely an option. I'm not saying it would always get done, but is Khabib really the right guy if you're fighting for money? The guy they call the Russian killer, the Danastagian Deathman? Get out of here with that. That's a good move by Khabib. That's how you have to handle an Irish crowd. They asked him if he was mad about the Irish crowd and that there weren't as many Russians, and he said, "No, I love that. That's the only reason I get to fight up here." And he thanked them. Even if they don't like him, that's the right move. He's out. Khabib's out. 15 minutes. Hey, you can't fault the guy for it. You cannot fault the guy for it. He came and did what he was supposed to do. Came and did it. That's exactly what you should do if you were Khabib. You can't wait on Conor. You can't sit there and wait on him. Because now Dana doesn't know what to do. Conor's not going to be there. It's exactly what you should do as Khabib. UFC is going to court Conor around and, just kind of let him be late to things. And I'm not a big fan of it either. I'm a huge fan of Conor's, and I know exactly what he's doing. But if you're Khabib, you have to counteract and counterbalance him. You're not going to let him punk you by just sitting there and waiting on him. Dana's saying they could do possibly Mayweather-McGregor numbers. Not a shot after something like this. Because people tune in to see Conor, and he's not here. No stare down. Dana's scrambling on the podium. Do you think he'll come back? No. If I'm Khabib, I'm going home and focusing on my weight cut. This is the thing. Dana just said that this didn't matter. There's no chance the numbers are higher because he doesn't know that number yet. He says they're trending based on the views of what people are bringing in for these press conferences, their embedded episodes. He doesn't know how many people have bought this or how many people are going to buy this. Dana just said fake news talking about the 165 division. 55, 65, 75. Problem solved. Jay, yeah. If I'm Khabib, I'm going home. It's what happens when a fighter becomes bigger than your company. Thank you. At least Dana knows. He gives it up to Khabib that you know he did his job. He came in on time, did what he had to do, and left. Looks like Conor came in. Just as they asked Dana if there would be consequences for Conor being late. I think Conor's in the building, folks. Maybe not. Maybe false alarm. By the way, Robbie from Barstool getting a shout out from Conor yesterday. That was pretty cool. If you guys aren't big Barstool fans, he's the guy that was at both hearings for Conor. Pretty cool little shout out. I cannot wait. I know Dana's talking. I'm not really concerned with what Dana's got to say right now. I cannot wait to live stream this with you guys on Saturday. 8 hours we're going, and I want to see all you guys in there with me. We're going to break down more of the Conor fight. When this is over, I'll give you guys my pick. And if I have to go, I'll give you guys my pick really quickly. But we're going to break down every fight. We're going to talk about every single situation that every fight can get into, especially the main event, and what it means. It's going to be special. I cannot wait. 8 hours, guys. This is not the position Dana wanted to be in, because now the press is garnered at Dana, and I don't think he was ready for all these questions. He's doing a good job of deflecting, which is kind of his main job besides matchmaking. But at these things, he's there to be a moderator and a mediator, but not so much to be the guy in the line of questioning. Because now the press is going to hit him hard. Now they're asking him about John Jones' deal with USADA, that snitch deal. Someone just brought up John snitching. Dana said he didn't know enough about the John Jones case to answer. Liar, liar, pants so far. You're dang right. Dana said he didn't know anything about it. Get out of my face with that. Dana's struggling up there, man. This is what you get, man. This is what you get when you let Conor run rampant on the entire promotion. Because now Conor's not going to show up. I don't mean to be that guy to poop on everyone's parade, but now that there's no one there to antagonize and you know the mental warfare that Conor brings, he's not going to show up now. There's no chance. Smart for Khabib to do. I don't think Conor's showing up, man. Dana's going to say he's going to show up. Why even do this press conference then? I mean, I get you wanted to do it in front of the fans, but it made no sense. Especially if you knew Conor wasn't going to be there on time. I am excited for the weigh-in tomorrow. We probably should have streamed the... Everyone wants to see that face-off. Because that's a big deal with the weight cuts. Yeah. Weigh-ins are electric, man. I don't want to stream the weigh-in because I'll be... Well, I do want to stream the weigh-in, but I'll be at work. But Saturday, 8 hours, baby. This press conference is completely bungled, by the way. Kelsey, they're talking about the... I know you'll be up. All right. Kelsey knows I don't get up early because I work a little later, guys. But what they're talking about is the... it's like the weigh-in in front of the crowd. It's like they've already weighed in, and that's what you'll be up for, the actual weigh-in. But like the ceremonial weigh-ins they do later in the day, that's what Dana's talking about, where the crowd's in the building and they have them step on the scale, even though they've already made weight, which I don't understand that point. But they have them stand on the scale, flex for the camera, all that, and then they have them face off. And that's because they've already made the weight. Their energies are they're energized and they're ready to go. That's when you get more electric. Yeah, Dana not mentioning the company selling for $4 billion. That's the biggest day of his life. That's when he became a billionaire. Actually, not a billionaire, but a very rich man. We'll say that. Dana just said it. Dana just said it. If someone misses weight, Tony's getting that fight. That's the only reason, if I'm Tony, that I would be on this card. I don't understand any other reason for Tony. Guy brought up the... Oh, Conor's there. Never mind. I was wrong. Conor's in the building. What are we at? 30 minutes late? Usually is true for... Dana's dying to get off that stage. Dying. They just show Conor on the camera and the crowd goes apeshit. Here's Conor. I guess I was wrong. Proper 12 in his hand. Looking lean. Khabib, to Khabib's credit, he was looking very lean as well, brother. Very lean as well. So both guys look like they're in good shape. I'm not going to do much talking right now, guys, because it's Conor McGregor. He blames the traffic. Again. He knows exactly what he's doing. Conor said he knows the deal. I come late all the time. True. Conor said, let him go. Let him go make some weight and then come talk to me. He said, it's better that he just doesn't even show up and go make his weight. Conor's fired up. That dude has the biggest smile on his face when he talks about his whiskey. Cultivated a very good business for himself. And he knows it. He absolutely knows it. Yeah, I don't think Khabib's coming back, guys. And I don't think it matters. These people didn't come here to watch Khabib. Conor said he's been wrestling 200-pounders all camp. And also, on top of that, he said he doesn't give a bollocks. If you guys know Irish slang, you know what that means. Confident, man. I mean, I'm not surprised by it at all. Conor's always very confident. But it's just good to see him back in this environment. You know, it's good to see him not playing a boxing entertainment weird character. Got a lot of fans in the venue. Definitely does. Conor's really, he's always been good at this promotion stuff. But the way he speaks about, like, subtly sliding in those plugs for the for the pay-per-view. I see blue lips. Blue lips, Josh. I see blue lips. If you guys have noticed, Conor's been wearing that fedora in almost everywhere he's gone. I wonder if anybody will ask him about that. I have an idea about that. It's a good question. Conor says he will fight, regardless if Khabib makes weight or not. He's fighting somebody. Oh, here we go. Dylan Dennis making a cameo. Dang. Dang. Yo, Conor's exposing Ali right now. Jeez, man. Jeez. Look at Dan Hardy with the poker hat on. Yo, Conor does his research, man. To know what Ali was doing. And let's not mistake it. Ali's fighters love him, but anybody that's not managed by Ali Abdelaziz has their opinions of that guy. He's not a great guy. Go follow Mike Russell and read his story about Ali. I don't think he cares about being in Khabib's head. I think he just wants to smack the hell out of him. Conor, again, saved Dana's ass by coming in at all. Because he's made this press conference. That's what he does, though. Exactly. I mean, that's Conor. Aim for the... Yep. Conor said it's never over with Khabib's team. Some dangerous stuff being said here today. Because outside of fighting, some dangerous stuff. Reporter says the word whiskey. The fans go crazy. Look at Robbie from Barstool just cheesing. Kind of. One of the reporters is just trying to take a dig at Conor's whiskey. Yo, what do you say? The dude just has a charisma and an ability to control a crowd you can't teach. Just shut down that reporter completely. Unbelievable stuff, man. You can't teach what he does. Without anyone else there, it's just an interview with the crowd, and Conor has been more entertaining than anything else that we've seen this week. Obviously, we want to see the fight, but Conor McGregor is mainstream and loved by many for more than just throwing the left hand. I got my bottle of Proper 12 before it ran out in the States. Conor says his eyes on everything. Conor placing everything perfectly. He violated that journalist. Don't bash on proper 12. He did straight up. That journalist is like, all right, I'll come taste. And Conor said, sit the hell down. Don't you dare disrespect that proper 12. Dana wasn't even there. Dana just came back on stage. By the way, about that reporter that bashed Proper 12, that's the only question he came with. He prepared that question all night and just got shit on. Conor said he can stay around and fight for a long time. I mean, if you think about it, for fighters, 30 is pretty young, man. For this game. Now, he is, he's been in a lot of fights, but he's young. Oh. Could be, yeah. Conor dropping the bomb on people, said he'd be ready for November 3rd as soon as he sparks Khabib. Obviously, that's not the case, but it's nice to hear it. My man's arm's so tired behind that guy. He's holding it up by himself. Reporter just asked Conor why he comes back. If it was for his legacy, Conor says he just likes to fight. I like that. This lady is back with these stupid hunger questions, man. Oh my God. It's this. Why does she keep asking this question? And then she said Khabib is hungrier than you, or could he be? Who would say that? Yo, what? Who would say that? Who would say, yeah, he's hungrier than me, yeah. Doesn't she, like, that's the only question you came with. It's like the proper 12 guy. She's like, I'm going to ask him if he's hungry, and I'm going to ask Conor if he's hungry, and then I'm going to go get a sandwich because I'm hungry. What? Makes no sense, dude. See, that's a question. That's a good question. The guy was like asking Conor why he hasn't come to Vegas earlier to adjust to the weather and the jet lag. It's a good question. I can't believe that lady stood up and said that again. Jesus. Oh, if we get out of here in the next 15 minutes or so, I'll tell you guys what I think about Conor's fedora and why he wears it. You best believe the UFC framed that picture right around both of Conor's belts and zoomed in on him. Conor calls Khabib a novice, a flincher. That's the guy that was holding his own arm up. His arm was so tired. They finally got him to get a question. Oh, that would be something. That would be something. They asked Conor if when's the next Dublin card. It's no genetic way around it. Conor says he's prepared for a 25-minute fight. This is Eslam. He said that before the Mayweather fight, and look what happened. It's a little hard to compare the two. I'll get to that in a second, though. Conor speaking to what every fighter wants is the 165 division, with Dana sitting right there. Conor towing the line with the UFC on this, though. Conor just says he could go 185, but no chance. He's a flincher in the novice ranks. Conor reads people well, Shogun. I mean, Khabib does. Khabib flinches. Has this weird, and it's not like a slip. It's just like a chin up, I mean, it's not hard to read that, but he has a good recall, Conor does. He has a good recall on what he's thinking and how it relates to something he's seen before. A little heart to heart from Dana and Conor right here. This is Conor basically showing Dana that, the mutual respect they have. little bit of a respect shown from both guys. Conor is always said this. He never puts himself above Muhammad Ali, which is something I always respect. Even if I personally do think Conor is the better mental warfare fighter, better understanding of physical tells and how to get under someone's skin. I do feel like Conor's better, but it's always cool to see him pay homage to Muhammad Ali. Whoa. Okay. Dang, Conor just threw out the number like that. He said 3.5 million pay-per-view buys. I don't think so. That would be out of this world. With 3.5, that would make it the second biggest fight or third biggest fight, regardless, boxing, whatever, ever made. Conor doesn't even know the name. Conor doesn't even know the name that owns the company. It's hilarious. You know why? Because the real person that owns the company, Conor McGregor. If they're estimating it being 3 million pay-per-view buys, that's huge. Not to mention the 3.5 number Conor just threw out, because that's not going to happen. That's not happening. But 3 million is still like, wow. Conor keeps looking over to his side. It's a big question. Yeah, Shogun, I don't think that's happening. 1.7 could be somewhere around where I could see it. I could see 2 million, but 1.7 actually could be pretty accurate. It's a pretty accurate number. Because I don't think that a lot of people are going to tune into this like they think. Because they're basing it off of the model they've seen from the embeddeds and who's viewing the press conference. All these things are free. So, I don't know. That lady was snapping on somebody. That production lady for the UFC. All right, let's talk about that. Conor showed up a little late. Typical Conor fashion. Khabib did exactly what he was supposed to do and got out of there. Conor's wearing flip-flops. I just saw this. Khabib did exactly what he was supposed to do and got the hell out of there, because you don't wait for anybody if you're the champion. I don't care if it's Conor McGregor. I don't care if it's Superman. You don't wait for anyone. And yeah, so Khabib did what he was supposed to do. Conor brought that press conference from out of the depths of hell, because it was literally a cricket fest with Dana struggling to answer questions and turning redder than a tomato. Conor did what he was supposed to do. Conor's very charismatic. He's looking lean, man. That's the one thing that I wanted to see today was what both guys looked like. Khabib looked in great shape. I know he was wearing long sleeves, but you could just see the gaunt in his face. You know, you could tell he was further into the weight cut already than you'd seen him in previous fights. So that was interesting to see. As far as what was it? Eslam said Conor's prepared for 25-minute. He says he's prepared for a 25-minute fight. He also said that before the Floyd Mayweather fight, and look what happened. It's genetic, no way around it. Conor went 30 minutes in the Floyd Mayweather fight. He went 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, the biggest or best pound-for-pound boxer to ever live, in his first professional fight. Granted, boxing is a little different from the UFC, from mixed martial arts, but it was his first professional fight. I'm not making excuses for Conor, but technically he did. He went 25 minutes plus 5. So, and people want to talk about how that was a sham and how Floyd carried Conor and how Floyd dominated Conor. Conor won rounds in that fight, and Conor continued to win rounds in that fight. As people want to say Floyd was giving him rounds, that's fine. That's strategy. That's the sweet science of boxing. But it can't be disputed. I don't care what those dirty boxing judges said. Conor won 2 or 3 rounds. And he won the 9th round. So all he let him early and he came back late. Conor came back after being beat round after round for 6, 7, and 8. I don't want to say beat badly. He got outpointed and beat Floyd in the 9th round. He won round 9. He did. Go back and watch the fight. Tell me I'm wrong. But to say that Conor has said he's been ready for 25 before and that it's genetic and there's no way around it, I don't believe that. I believe you can condition yourself for a 25-minute fight, regardless of what your genetics are. If you've been practicing the game for 8, 9, 10 plus years, Conor, yes, is a fast twitch muscle, explosive athlete, but it doesn't mean that he can't contort his game to be ready for a 25-minute fight. It's all relative when you talk about, oh, it's genetic, there's no way around it. That just depends on how the fight's going, how Conor is doing in the fight, how much energy he has to exert in the fight, how he's controlling that energy, how he's controlling the pace of the fight. All that stuff's a factor. It's not just genetic. Conor can absolutely go 25 rounds. And no one's bringing up the fact that Khabib's pace is virtually unstoppable. Everyone seems to know that fact. But what happens if Conor does starch him early? What happens to that pace then? What happens to his energy if he's on the back foot? Have we ever seen Khabib go backward for more than a couple of seconds in a fight? Have we ever seen him starched? No, none of these things we've ever seen. And it gives us good credence as to why he's 26-0. But that's part of the reason I'm making my prediction the way I'm making it, is we've never seen Khabib in trouble to the point where he has to overcome some adversity. I'm sure growing up in Dagestan and growing up in the hills of Dagestan, he's had to overcome a ton of adversity. But I'm talking specifically in that cage in a mixed martial arts fight. Khabib has never lost a round professionally, and he's never lost a bout. Think about that. Khabib has over 10 or 15, he has a lot of decision wins where he went through the entire fight and didn't lose one single round. What happens when he faces some adversity? What happens when he faces a guy inside the top 10 who has lived in big fights for the last 5 to 6 years? A guy that beat the 155 champion in the biggest event the UFC's ever held, $17,000 or 17,000 people in attendance in Madison Square Garden, the first to ever do it. What happens when he gets in front of a guy that starches people? I have seen what Firas Zahabi talks about Conor, Shogun. That touch of death is real. It is real. But I don't think it's all genetic. I think Conor is a smart enough fighter to be able to conserve. If it is a Yoel Romero situation where he's just so muscle bound and so muscle oriented that he has to conserve energy, I think he can do that. I do think Khabib's pace presents a problem, and there's definitely a way Conor could get tired with Khabib just forward, because I haven't seen Khabib particularly get as tired as Conor has gotten. But do you see how we start to compare things? Well, Khabib's gotten tired, but not as tired as Conor has. He's never given up his back. Okay. Khabib's never jumped up 2 weight classes to fight. Khabib's never fought an actual top 10 contender at the time of the fight. Fought Rafael dos Anjos, his biggest win. And that's not to discredit anything Khabib's doing. I'm just saying we haven't seen it. Khabib could walk out in the first round, single leg Conor, get the body lock, throw him on his head, and do it for 5 rounds straight, and we couldn't do anything about it. That's just the way that could happen. But we don't know that to be the case, and we don't know how Khabib fights under these bright lights. Yeah, he fought in the Brooklyn main event against a guy that, again, wasn't in the top 10, was not the fight he was prepared for. Another good on him, that he took a guy that on 6 days' notice and figured him out quickly. But this is a guy in Conor that's just different. Says, I can see Khabib missing weight and it makes me sick. Hey, Jade, I'm a big CD in the third fan on Twitch. Don't manifest, okay? We don't manifest in this chat. No manifestation. They're both making weight. Let's just put that out in the universe. They're both making weight. We're just gonna keep it there. But so my pick after this long thing. Sorry guys. Oh my things are gonna run out. Y'all gotta remind me to charge these before Saturday because we have to have some sound during the fight. My pick for UFC 229 lightweight title, guys. I think you knew this the entire time. The one guy that I never bet against. The one guy that I've looked at outside of the cage and inside of the cage and am inspired by how he takes on life and how he progresses through life. And the way he fights is so explosive and so appealing to the eye. It makes you want to know more about this game because he keeps evolving. He's never stagnant. And who I think's winning this fight? It's Conor McGregor. And the reason I say this before everybody hits that dislike button, the reason I say this is because, one, Conor has been in fights like this before, many, many times. The adrenaline will come out of Khabib regardless of what he wants to happen or doesn't want to happen. Again, I don't have experience in that setting, but I remember being in front of a crowd at the People's Choice Awards and seeing The Rock in the front row and seeing Kevin Hart next to him and seeing Ellen on stage and talking to Justin Timberlake in the back, and everybody is just chatting in your ear, and they're normal people, but then the lights come on and they're all looking at you, and you're not even the person that they're looking at, and your adrenaline and your energy and the butterflies in your stomach all just start to rise out of nowhere, and you can't control it. Sometimes you just have to let it go. You have to be able to fight to fight with that. Or excuse me, not to fight with that. You have to be able to let it consume you and use it, not to fight with it. And I don't know how Khabib reacts to that. How does the fact that Conor is such a different fighter, so much better on his feet, Khabib has to find a way to stand with Conor enough to take him to the ground. All these things. How does Conor react to being taken down? I think that he stays there. I don't think that he tries to sprint back up to his feet right away. I think that he comes down with Khabib, and I think he tries to land on the bottom, to make Khabib work on top, and then finds a way to scramble up to his feet and does more damage. At the end of the day, this is going to be a dogfight, guys. I don't think this is one-way Khabib, one-way Conor. I don't think Khabib lands 27 takedowns and wins the fight in dominant fashion. I don't think Conor starches him in one round. I think this goes late into the fight, and I think Conor either will win a decision, and I know that's crazy. Conor either wins a decision, or because the only way you're going to beat Khabib, he is going to keep coming forward. And I think later in the rounds when he's tired and and I don't know how Khabib looks. The only way I know Khabib looks at when he's tired is the Al Iaquinta fight, and he started dropping his hands and just running forward at Al. But when he's desperate and it's later in the fight, I think that he finds a way to catch Khabib coming in, and I think it wobbles him. And I think Conor either pounces on him and finishes it there. Regardless, that also has to regard what Conor has in the tank and how much damage Khabib's done. But I think either that happens or Conor outclasses him and wins a 3-2 decision. That's not the most interesting. Yeah, I'd like to say Conor goes out there, drops the left hand and won, and that could happen. I have no idea. I just think that these two have come for a 5-round fight. I don't think Khabib has a glass jaw. I think his stand-up defense is bad. I think his footwork is bad. A lot of his ins and outs of moving away from punches, the way he literally turns and sprints away from punches, or when he's shuffling off to the side to get out of that zone, to get out of that strike zone and get it back to where he wants to use his distance, he crosses his feet over and leaves himself unbalanced. And instead of shuffling, he kind of does a little shuffle with crossing his legs that leaves him unbalanced. I don't like the way he moves, but I think that Conor wins in a TKO late. I'm talking either late 4th round or sometime in the 5th, or he gets a decision. I know it's not popular. It's not a popular vote, but that's what I'm going with. Shogun's got Khabib by 3rd round, rear naked choke. Let me know, guys, because I'm going 8 hours, so we'll have all kinds of time to talk about it. So get in the chat. Saturday, we're going to go live at, I think, 1:30 or 2. I'm going to have drinks. I'm going to have, Kelsey's not going to like it, I'm going to have some proper 12 sitting here. I don't know if I might have a drink if Conor wins. I might have a small little drink. But I'll have her mug here. We'll chat it up. We'll talk some other stuff because it's going to be about an hour before we start actually watching fights. So we'll chat it up. We'll see what happens, and I can't wait, guys. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching. That was entertaining. Not for the reason we thought it was going to be, but it was entertaining. Conor came and entertained the fans, said some cool stuff, called out Ali again, so I'm sure that'll be something to look forward to. That was a little interesting. Red Bull, Shogun, you've been with me long enough to know that I drink Celsius and Celsius only. Don't disrespect Celsius like that. You're an OG W.A.D.E concept member. Don't do that. You know the difference, brother. Come on now. Come on, Shogun. You better have a Celsius on your end, all right? Send me a picture on Twitter if you guys got some Celsius for the fight Saturday. Jay, what time does it start in England? I have no idea. Let's see. I'll look it up for you real quick before we get out of here. 2 p.m. my time. What time would that be England? Let's see. Oh, Shogun says you don't think that he has that in Montreal. How dare they not sell it in Montreal? Okay, whatever. Trying to look for it, guys, real quick. Okay, I don't. One second, guys. Okay, so it'll be 10 p.m. your time, Jay. 10 p.m. Yes, it's 8 hours forward, Shogun. Thank you. I have no sense of time or direction. But yeah, Jay, if I'm starting at 2 p.m., that'll be 10 p.m. your time. So hop on at 10 p.m. I know, man, it's hard to stay up for these events, but it's the biggest of all time. And I would encourage you, if you're not going to be with me, to somehow, find a way to get around that fight. I would love to have you here, though, man. I'd love to have all you guys in here with me. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, guys. I got to start doing this because I guess subscriptions almost don't mean anything anymore. So hit that notification bell too, so you guys get notified when I go live. Because sometimes, even myself, I have a secondary channel that we're gonna be doing vlogs on, hopefully soon. That I subscribe with just to make sure my notifications go live, and sometimes they don't. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, click the notify bell next to it. Follow me on Twitter if you guys want to know more about kind of what I'm doing outside of this, and just to chop it up with me. If you guys have some interesting news going on in the MMA week that you want to let me know that we can talk about on the live stream, that's where you need to hit me up. If you guys want to send me any pictures you guys have of Celsius Proper 12, what's your situation's going to be for fight night, if you're going to be kicking back on the couch or watching somewhere in a restaurant with an ice cold Guinness, something like that, let me know on there. And thank you guys so much for watching, man. I cannot wait. I will see you guys 2 p.m. Saturday. Please, everybody, put those hands together and pray for both these gentlemen to make weight. We cannot lose this fight. Thank you guys so much. And you guys already know this is the W.A.D.E concept, and we are debating everything. Thanks, guys. We'll see you Saturday.